Righty-o, we're live on Hogg's vlog and it's finals time in the IPL. It's Chennai Super Kings taking on my team, Kolkata Knight Riders. Now, it's pace versus spin, and who's going to come out on top tonight? Let's find out on Hogg's vlog. Roll bumper, please, Shubs. Okay, Kolkata Knight Riders have found a way to get into the final, coming from fourth spot. It has been a sensational performance from the Kolkata Knight Riders, and also Chennai Super Kings. They've been very consistent throughout the year. Delhi Capitals, you had it on a string. You could have won this IPL. You had the best team you've ever had to win an IPL. Everything was in your favour. But your fielding in the last three games has dropped off, and that's what's cost Delhi Capitals. But today is what we're talking about, the final. And just before we get into the talking points, Priyanka, how you going? Pez Legends, good to see you. Atel Baral, good to see you on there again. Suresh VJ, Olive Media, Varun Raghav, how are you going, all of you? Now, let's get to the talking points, Shub, so we can get to the questions from all these people. So we're going to be quick today. For my finals preview, it's going to be a battle between the openers. Garkawad and du Plessis have been carrying CSK throughout this whole tournament. They have been brilliant. Garkawad is really rising in stature, and it won't be too long before I think we'll see him opening at test level. I think he's got the technique for it. But then we jump over to KKR. Gill and Venkatesh Iyer have been awesome. Now, Venkatesh Iyer has creeped up the ladder with most runs in the tournament, and he's only played in Dubai. He's been the big find of the tournament. He's turned it around for KKR. Now, whoever dominates the power play between these two teams will end up winning the game for both their teams. For me, I'm still thinking that the powerhouse of Chennai Super Kings in the opening department are better than the two KKR. So that's where CSK have got an advantage over KKR. Just before we go into the next talking point as well, it's the next partnership too, which is crucial. Kolkata Knight Riders throughout the tournament have been more dominant in the second wicket partnership than CSK, and that's where KKR just bring the balance back. So that top order, it's going to be a very strong contest, and it's an even contest when you look at both of those partnerships. All right, let's move on to the next phase here. Spin. Out there in Dubai, it is still crucial to have spin. Now, if you look at KKR, they probably go in with three spinners. I don't think they'll change Shakib for Andre Russell, which is good because if you look at spin out Dubai, it has been very economical. Whereas CSK are going to go in there with all pace with one spinner in Jadeja. So for me, I think KKR will have the better balanced bowling attack here in Dubai. Okay, let's quickly get on to the captains before we get to the questions. Now, I think MS Dhoni has probably will have better leadership than Owen Morgan in this particular lineup. Nothing phases him. His form won't be phasing him because he's coming out the other end of his career. Owen Morgan wants to find form with the bat, so he have that little bit of extra pressure on the back of his mind with the T20 World Cup around the corner. MSD behind the stumps, he's still going to add vital leadership, but also skill behind the stump, so he's going to have more of an impact in the game than Owen Morgan. So when it comes to leadership, I think MS Dhoni's going in there with a better frame of mind. Owen Morgan, look, he's had very short, sharp innings throughout the whole tournament. He looks good. He's timing the ball here and there. So he's still trying to play that aggressive game, but he's just finding a way to get out. And for me, I think that's going to be a big difference in this in this particular game because the pressure will get to Owen Morgan before MSD. Okay, let's get to the questions, please, Shubs. Okay, I've done that in 432. Beautiful. And I'm really going to love the questions coming. Pez Legends, how you going, mate? Do you think Russell should play today? No, I don't. I think he's been out of the tournament for too long. the only way that Andre Russell would come in if it is an absolute green seamer with good extra bounce, and you think that seam is going to play a huge role, and I don't think it will. There's been a number of games up there in Dubai, and I think spin's going to take an effect. You're taking a huge risk in there, taking one player out who's fully fit and been doing the job in the last couple of weeks to get KKR into the final, and put someone under there who has been under an injury cloud in there. Even though he's a big hitter, even though he bowls pace, I wouldn't make that change right now. You want to go in as simple as possible. Go in with the team that's got the momentum, that's been doing the job. You've created a good little culture there with that momentum. Don't change it. So for me, as much as I'd like to see Andre Russell in there, I would not put him in there with the old reputation that he had. Stick with the team that you've got, because it's going to be a low-scoring affair, and spin's going to play a big factor tonight. Okay, next question, please, Shubs. That's a good question, Pez Legends. Rowan Yeoli, how are you going? Hi, Hoggy, how are you? Hope that didn't come too loud down the microphone. Your thoughts on Vektas Iyer as an all-rounder. Also, are you going to cover the BBL 2021? Yes, we'll cover the BBL 2021 on here as well. Vektas Iyer, I've really loved the way that he's gone about his business this year, the way that he's taken on the bowling up the top of the order. He can play the hook shot, which is one thing that I look out when you travel away from those low bouncy conditions. He takes on the pace, but he also takes on the spin as well. And the way that he plays the off spin that turns into him, the left arm off spin, he's a little bit more aggressive than the one going away from him. So he knows his game down pat with the bat, and that's because he's got maturity and he's got other things in his life. He's a very smart cookie with the chartered accountancy, I think it is, that he's doing. But with the ball, I think Kolkata Knight Riders could have used him a little bit more. They took a risk a couple of games ago to use him as a fifth bowler. I think if they had another couple of games up their sleeve, they would have given him another opportunity. So if you're looking at someone like Hardik Pandya, who's got that injury cloud and not going to play in the main team of India, he won't play in the T20 team of India just as a frontline batter. He's got to be there as an all-rounder. If he's not going to bowl some overs, I wouldn't be surprised if they bring Vektas Iyer in there just to try and utilise him as that all-rounder. It would be a huge risk, but the only reason why I'd go with someone like a Vektas Iyer is because nothing seems to faze him. It's an opportunity of a lifetime. He thought it was never going to happen, and I don't think the pressure would get to him the way that he's carried on with the IPL. I just think he would take it as a moment that this is an opportunity that I was never going to get in my life, and the pressure won't get to him at that higher level in these early phases. So, it wouldn't be a bad move just to put him in there if you need that all-rounder. But the only thing is you'll probably have to bat him up the order where he's more aggressive. I wouldn't like to see him batting down the order where he's got to think about the game a little bit more. So that's something that India have got to look at. And Virat Kohli might come down to number 3 if he doesn't open the batting, and you could have Vektas Iyer there, so you change the batting order there. Good stuff there, Rowan Yeoli. I could go on about Vektas Iyer for so long because I just love the way that he's calm-natured. Nothing phases him. I think someone the other day against the Delhi Capitals, I think it was Patel, came in and had a go at him because he looked as though he's taking things slowly, and said, look, the bowler's ready, why don't you hurry up? And he just said, yeah, no drama, mate, thank you, and just got on with the job and hit the next ball for 6. Next question, please, Shubs. Yogesh Tonpe, I think that's how you say it. I hope that's how you say it, but thanks very much for joining me, Yogesh. Should Dhoni promote himself in the batting order again, as this may be his last game of IPL? Well, I think Dhoni's come out and said that he'd like to play another game in Chennai, so I think he might be going around again, but I wouldn't be surprised if he does retire as well. But for me, I don't think Dhoni would be moving himself up the batting order just because it might might be his last game, I think he'd be doing it for the benefit of the team. And I wouldn't be surprised if he does go up the order, but I wouldn't bat him in front of himself in front of Utapa. Utapa was brilliant last game and has filled a void there in the middle order. And I think when someone like that's got that confidence, you've got to keep him going. I wouldn't play him in front of that. But after Utapa and in front of Righty-o, I would think about bringing himself in there, especially against spin. He's had a little bit of trouble there, but I just reckon in these big moments, MS Dhoni is the one to take it on. So for me, I'd bring him in after himself in after Utapa. Robbie Utapa, an old teammate from KKR. I love it that he's taken another opportunity, old Robin Utapa. I know we're not talking about him now, but it just, you get those little chances, you get those opportunities. He looked as though he wasn't going to play, and all of a sudden, he looks as though he's going to be one of the main men for CSK in this final. Next question, please, Shubs. MSD. I hope it's not his last game. Virat Giri, how you going? Hi, Hoggy. I know this won't happen, but just want to know your thoughts. If Russell is fit, can he come in for Morgan as Shakib, Narayan and Ferguson are in form and KKR middle order is not firing? I'm a little bit nervous answering this question, Virat. Just going to take a little drink of water to calm myself down. For me, if I was KKR and Andre Russell was fit, I'd get rid of Morgan. He has not done anything with the bat, and sometimes you've got to make those sacrifices in the big games, and Andre Russell will give you a little bit of extra depth with your bowling, but also will do probably the same, if not better job than Owen Morgan with the bat. I think Kartik behind the stumps, I think he can still captain the team, and with the commentary that he's done over in England with that test series and other bits of commentary that he's doing, the media stuff, he's learnt more about the game, he's learnt more about himself, and he'll look back on those experiences that he captained with KKR beforehand, and he'll be a little bit more calmer behind the stump. So I reckon, I agree with you, they should drop Morgan and bring in Andre Russell, but I don't think it's going to happen because Morgan and the coach down there are very, very good mates in McCullum. Virat, I'm very much along the lines with you. Next question, please, Shubs. Okay, here we go. Austin Dacuna, how you going, buddy? Hope all is going well with you and everyone else that's out there. Hi, Hoggy. If 4 players are allowed to be retained for next year, who do you think RCB and DC will retain? Should Morgan keep Varun for death against Dhoni and Jadoo? I think I agree with you in that last bit. I think either Varun or Narayan have got to be kept to the death for those big hitters of CSK out the back end. So I think Varun can do that job, and it'll be very good for him to be able to do that leading into the T20 World Cup for India as well. Put him under pressure in this big game, and I think he'll be able to do the job. It will be very, very good contest between those two particular batsmen and Varun as the bowler. For me, RCB, who would I keep? Virat Kohli's not going to captain, but I'd still keep him. Padikal, I'll keep Harsha Patel, and Harsha Patel, Siraj, and Chahal. So there's 5 there. I'd go with Siraj and Chahal, and hopefully I can pick up Harsha Patel in the auction for RCB. That's how I'd go. For the Delhi Capitals, I'd keep Pant, I'd keep Shaw, and I would keep Iyer. You need 3 frontline Indian batsmen. I'd think about Darwin, but the only problem with Darwin is he's coming of age right now. You don't know how he's going to be in 3 years' time, so you're making a big investment there. So I'd make a big investment in those 3 particular players. My 4th player who I'd go for, I don't like going for overseas players, but I'd go for Norkie. I think Norkie is a powerhouse in that bowling attack. He bowls up front, he bowls in the death, and he's probably been the main bowler in that bowling attack that's kept them in song. So he's led that attack. So that's who I'd keep for RCB and Delhi Capitals. I hope I answered that pretty well. I hope you agree with me, Austin, but I also hope you disagree with me too and have different thoughts as well. Next question, please, Shubs. Okay, we've got Gurav Singh. How you going? Should CSK retain Reiner in next mega auction? Could backfire if they go so. Reiner, I would not keep him. I would move on from Reiner. He's had a couple of injuries. He wasn't there an IPL ago. We're not quite sure where he is with his cricket, how dedicated he is with his cricket, where he wants to go along with his life moving forward. And his performance haven't really warranted for him to be retained from CSK. So I'd put him back in the auction. And then if there comes a chance where you can pick him up for that middle order option, well, I'd go down that path. For me, I'd be looking at someone like a Gaikwad and Jadeja, Thakur, even Chahar, the fast bowler. So for me, I'd be looking at those younger players and someone like a Reiner because he's coming to the end of his career. But I like the way you're thinking, but I'd let him go. Thanks very much, Gurav. Next question, please, Shubs. Takali. I hope you say it like that. Takali. Hi, Hoggy. Hope you're doing well. Do you think toss will play an important role tomorrow or today, considering the possibility of dew? For me, if you look at Dubai, most games where the team batting second have won. Today is a final where there's a little bit of extra pressure, and we saw in the last final just recently Delhi Capitals and KKR. KKR had it in the bag with the bat. There was a little bit of dew around, and the bowlers were struggling a little bit with it, but the pressure got to the batsmen, and KKR nearly threw that win away to Delhi Capitals. So for me, in finals, I always like to bat first and bowl second. But with the dew around and the record out Dubai, even though it's a huge occasion, I would actually try and bat second tonight. And I think the toss is going to have a huge impact in this. So for me, whoever wins the toss is definitely going to bowl first tonight. So, and I'd probably think that they would have a better chance of winning. Next question, please, Shubs. But I love the thought there, Takali. I love this. Satyan Jib. Who are going to be the 4 retentions of CSK next year, buddy? Buddy, good day, mate. I love that. For me, it mostly depends upon if MSD is going to play or not. Would I keep MSD? That's the thing. I think there must be an arrangement there somewhere along the line, because I don't know whether MSD would play for 3 years moving forward. That would be a huge risk. But if you're going to keep MSD, I'd go with Gaikwad around MSD. You want to try and keep all your Indian players, and Thakur and Chahar with MSD. Without MSD, I forgot about Jadeja there. So Thakur, Jadeja, Gaikwad, and MSD. If MSD, if we can find another arrangement for MSD where he can get into this CSK lineup, I'd keep Chahar as well, and just try and look for different options in that middle order with the auction. So it's a very good thought. There's different ways that you can go about it, but that's probably more bowling strength than batting strength that I'd look out with CSK with the products that they've got there right now. Hopefully you agree with me, and hopefully you got different ideas as well. Okay, next question, please. Shubs. David Milan. David, how you going, mate? I hope you're all well. I'm a big fan of you and watching you from China. China, what are you doing in China, David? Hope all is well there in China. Please say something about Babar Azam. Babar Azam, I think he's the one that, he definitely leads Pakistan. He's starting to perform all around the world. And for me, I think he's got a big job with what's happening with Pakistan at the moment. Tours were called off going to Pakistan. They played a national T20 tournament to try and get that match practice before they go over to Dubai. So for me, his leadership skills are going to probably be more important than his batting skills, because they're underdone with international cricket. He's got to get belief in his players, and for me, I think he's the man for that particular job, and I don't think his batting will be too affected by that. But I just love the way that he plays the cover drive and plays off the back foot as well. He's one of the top 5 batsmen that I love to watch, and I can't wait to see him in the T20 World Cup. Okay, next question, please, Shubs. And I hope everything goes well up there in China, mate. Say, Kiran, how are you going? I haven't seen you for a while. Hey, Hoggy, a huge fan of your bowling. Thank you very much for that. Do you think it's a good idea for Gaikwad Faf to step out and deal with the two or the spin twins of Varun and Narayan tomorrow? For me, facing both of those particular players in the nets, especially Narayan, I had no idea. But for me, if you see it in the air and they're slightly over pitch, you've got to attack them. They're just like any other bowler. You don't play the man, you play the ball and try and keep the man out of it. What you see coming down the pitch and your first thought, you go after it. So for me, if Gaikwad likes to charge down the wicket, he's got to back himself. He's got that youth. Don't get overawed by the situation. Try and do the same things that you've been doing throughout the particular year and play those shots that you are. So for me, if using your feet is an option that you use against spin, make sure you use it against these two particular guys as well. And for me, when you're facing these mystery spinners, if you want to come out of your crease, try and leave it as late as possible. Don't move before the bowler lets go of the ball, because we don't sort of look for it as bowlers, but our intuition or the way that we see it, we see a movement from the batsman, and that gives us an indication of what the batsman's going to do, whether he's going to charge or go on the back foot, and we adapt appropriately. It's just a natural habit over bowling day in, day out, year after year, year after year. We're able to adjust once we see that batsman move. Just naturally, it just drops shorter naturally, and we're able to get those stumpings and those courts in the deep where the batsman's not quite getting there. So that's why I'm saying Gaikwad and Faf, watch them try and leave the crease as late as possible to those two particular bowlers. And when they make that move, they'll go as hard as they can to get as far down the pitch as they possibly can to negate the spin. And that's going to be a very, very good contest. But for me, I think the bigger one is Shakib, because Shakib opens the bowling as well. And if you can get on top of Shakib and not allow him bowl a second over in that power play, then Morgan's already changed his game plan. So for me, very good options there. But if you use your feet against those two. Don't play the man, play the ball. Good question there, Say. Next question, please, Shubs. Lucid Soul, how you going? Will KKR retain Morgan and DK after their low performance in this year's IPL? I don't think they'll retain Morgan, and I don't think they'll retain DK at this stage. I think they'll both go back in the auction, and if they can pick them up in the auction, well, so be it. For me, I'd be going for the younger players. Gill is someone that I'll be definitely going after, and Venkatesh Iyer, I'd be going after him as well to try and maintain him. And obviously, I'd go with the two spinners that they've got there, Chakravorty and Narayan. I'd be trying to keep those two particular players. Someone like an Andre Russell, would I be trying to keep him? They try and build a team around him, but he's injury prone, and I just think just his all-round capability. Yes, he can bowl. Yes, he can bat. But there's too much hit and miss for me to make a big investment on those on him. So I'd go with those 4 other players. Good question there, Lucid Soul. All right, next question. Abby Ash, how you going? Hi, Hoggy. Do you think there will be more demand for captains in mega auction as more teams require captains? I think they'll definitely be going hard after leadership qualities. It's going to be interesting, because if teams have got good leaders right now, they'll do their utmost to keep them and retain those particular players, because if you don't have good leadership, you're not going to have good control out in the middle. So the likes of Rahul are going to be hard to capture. I think Pant has done a great job with Delhi Capitals, and I wouldn't mind seeing him captain Delhi Capitals again. So would I want to captain another team? If they go down that path, would I want have the option of leaving Delhi Capitals because he wants to captain another team? That's a good question. That's someone that I'd be after to lead the team as well. I thought Pant did a very, very good job as leader, actually talking about captains. There were a couple of moments there where he was frustrated with some of the outfielding in those final games. You could see it on his face, but he didn't go over the top with his reaction. He just showed a little bit of disappointment and moved on to the next contest. Yes, he can slightly improve on it. And just that small bit of experience that he's had, I think he'll come back better and stronger next year. And in those key moments, he'll handle it a little bit more better and a little bit more in control. And I just thought his batting even improved with that leadership as well. So watch out for that space. Pant, captain Delhi Capitals, will I stay there? Have we got another question? No, we haven't. Thanks very much, everyone, for joining me. It has been absolutely fantastic. The IPL has been sensational. Fourth, taking on the CSK. KKR have made a magnificent comeback. Look, I know most of you will be going for CSK. I've played for Kolkata Knight Riders. I've got to go for the team in purple because I like to stay loyal. But it's going to be a close one, and I think KKR are just going to get over the line because I think spin to win tonight will be the main theme. Thanks, guys. Have a good day and enjoy tonight's